The first lie I told myself about Barbara was that I loved her. The second was that she loved me back. These weren't harmless self-deceptions. They were the rotten foundation stones of the life I'd meticulously constructed. My name is Everett. I'm 42. The moment my life's facade began to crack wasn't when that support beam snapped like a rotten twig. The cracks were there long before, hairline fractures I'd ignored, or worse, actively plastered over. I'd always considered myself a man of control, of precision. My world operated on rules I set, on expectations I enforced. Barbara, 39, with razor-sharp wit that could turn venomous when she felt cornered, which was often, was a variable I thought I'd managed. Gage, her son, a surly 16-year-old embodiment of defiance, was a project I'd deemed a failure. He was 8 when Barbara made the regrettable decision to marry me, bringing him into my orbit. From day one, he'd looked at me like something he'd scraped off his shoe. The treehouse I built him, a strategic move, an attempt to buy compliance, teaching him to fish, the batting cage, calculated gestures. There were no real moments of connection, just moments he was less overtly hostile, moments I could almost convince myself my investment was yielding returns. But beneath it all, the rot festered. Our 8 years of marriage were a testament to my endurance, my ability to maintain an illusion. Habit, not love. Routine was my fortress. Morning coffee at precisely 6:30 a.m., the same tired jokes that had long lost their humor but served as conversational placeholders. Date nights, third Friday of the month at Moretti's Italian, table by the window. We didn't fight much because I didn't allow it. Disagreements were managed, swiftly, usually by me making clear what the acceptable outcome was. The red flags she waved, girls' weekends that reeked of desperation for escape, hushed late-night calls, her thumb glued to the screen with secretive smiles when she thought I wasn't looking. I didn't ignore them. I logged them. Each one was a mark in a ledger, a tally of her transgressions, fuel for the cold, simmering resentment I nurtured. I wasn't waiting for a 2x4 to the skull. I was biding my time. Broken leg, multiple comminuted fractures, 3 ribs shattered, 1 nicking a lung, the taste of blood, coppery and hot, in my mouth. The doctors prattled about luck. "Mr. Hayes, you're incredibly fortunate." Fortunate? I was inconvenienced, severely. My meticulously planned life, thrown into disarray by a faulty piece of timber and shoddy workmanship. Agony was a constant companion, a dull, throbbing bass note beneath the screech of hospital machinery. My sister Bernice fluttered in daily with bland homemade soup I barely touched, and updates on Curtis, my dog, the only creature whose loyalty I never questioned. She'd sit, knitting or reading, a comforting, predictable presence. She even stayed some nights when the pain was a particularly vicious bastard. She was useful. And Barbara, my devoted wife? Day 1, Gage had a game, a lie easily verified. Day 2, Curtis was supposedly at death's door. Another lie. Bernice had just seen him perfectly healthy. Day 3, voicemail, silence. By day 5, a flicker of something akin to irritation sparked within me. Not panic for her safety. I knew Barbara. She was a creature of self-preservation. No, this was defiance. This was her seizing an opportunity. "You know Barbara, Ev," Bernice said one afternoon, her voice laced with cloying sympathy I despised. "She's always been, well, you know, self-involved." Bernice, bless her simple heart, thought she was being insightful. She had no idea of the currents running beneath the surface of my marriage. A week bled into 10 days, then 2, then 3. The nurses with their saccharine smiles and pitying glances were almost unbearable. One of them, Tessa, younger, with kind, naive eyes, would sometimes linger, an extra pudding cup, a hesitant hand briefly touching mine. She never asked about Barbara, but the question hung in the sterile air between us, heavy and unspoken. Nearly 4 weeks before I got Barbara on the phone. "So," I began, voice level, Are you planning on gracing me with your presence? Or should I assume you're measuring drapes for my replacement? A beat of silence, then a weary sigh. Everett, honestly, you're not worth the gas money. Just die fast or heal quick because this in-between shit is really dragging. Click. Gage picked up the extension. Yeah, Dad, we don't miss you, like at all. I placed the receiver back with deliberate slowness, stared at the acoustic tile ceiling. The heart monitor beeped its steady rhythm, a counterpoint to the cold, precise rage crystallizing in my chest. This wasn't denial popping. This was the starting gun. Pain medication dulls the body, true. But it sharpens the mind in other ways, strips away the softer edges. I lay there, night after sleepless night, the timeline of my marriage unspooling in my head. Every slight, every act of defiance from Barbara, every sneer from Gage. The cracks weren't blooming, they were chasms I'd allowed to exist, thinking I could bridge them with control and thinly veiled contempt. Bernice became my eyes and ears, my ever-loyal informant. The bank statements she brought were illuminating. Significant withdrawals. ATM receipts from jewelry stores I'd never authorized. Online purchases from boutiques I didn't recognize. And then, the pièce de résistance. Email confirmation for 2 round-trip tickets to Cancun, departing in 3 weeks. Paid for from our joint account. While I was tethered to machines, fighting off infections, she was planning a tropical getaway. With whom? The answer Bernice supplied with grim satisfaction was a neighbor. Silvio. Some smooth-talking parasite who'd slithered into the house next door 6 months prior. Think about it, Ev, Bernice said, arms crossed, righteous indignation on her face mirroring my own, albeit a paler imitation. She's not just spending your money, she's flaunting it. With him. While you're in here. Like this. She gestured at my broken body. You're not just going to let her, are you? She knew the answer. My mind, even fogged with opiates, was already working, crafting a response. Not a reaction, a meticulously planned campaign. I signed myself out against medical advice, AMA, a fitting acronym, I thought. I am a man who was about to reclaim what was his. Bernice, bless her anxious heart, drove me, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. Not home, not yet. To a Staybridge Suites, anonymous and sterile, a perfect staging ground. Are you sure about this, Ev? She fretted, hovering in the doorway of the bland hotel room. What if something happens? Your leg ... Staying in that hospital, Bernice, makes me a patient, a victim. I settled onto the stiff bed, wincing as my leg protested. Out here, I'm a player again. The first night alone in that soulless room was clarifying. The silence, broken only by the hum of the mini-fridge and distant wail of sirens, was a crucible. My wife, the woman who'd vowed sickness and health, was at this very moment likely laughing with her lover, spending my money. The betrayal wasn't a hot flush of anger. It was a cold, hard certainty settling deep in my bones. The next days were focused activity. New bank account, solely in my name, transferring every liquid asset. Documents, prenuptial agreements, titles, insurance policies. I called Barbara. Just going to be in here a while longer. They're worried about complications. Her response? A thumbs-up emoji. Not even words. That emoji became my fuel. I consulted lawyer Reggie. Divorce, obviously. We made lists. Every piece of furniture, every appliance, cataloged. The movers were booked for Saturday, 8 a.m. sharp. Saturday morning, the yellow moving truck rumbled to a stop. Curtis bounded down the stairs, a cannonball of joy. The house was immaculate, disturbingly so. It smelled of lemon polish and Silvio's cheap cologne. All right, I barked. Bedroom first, my suite, then the office. Systematically, we moved. My pre-marriage bedroom set, the antique clock, my books, tools, half the kitchenware, the big screen TV. We came to Gage's room, the gaming system, desk, chair, all bought with money I'd earned. I thought of his snide, "We don't miss you." "Take it," I said. All of it. By 4 p.m., the house was a shell. We ate pizza on the bare floor. 7 p.m., I did a final walkthrough. The silence was profound, accusing. I locked the door. No note, no warning. Sunday evening, showtime. My phone erupted. Frantic texts from Barbara. "Where the heck is everything? This isn't funny. You bastard! You took Curtis? I'm calling the police. Answer your phone, you coward." I read them slowly, grim satisfaction spreading. Bernice sent a video clip from her doorbell camera. Barbara, wild-eyed, pacing the driveway, screeching, "He took everything!" He can't do this to me. I watched it again and again. That was worth something. Gage texted, "Hey, can I come over?" He showed up sullen, slumped on my sofa. Everything's messed up. Mom's losing it. That guy Silvio acts like he owns the place. He looked up. "She told me to say that stuff on the phone. Said if I told you to get lost, she'd get me a VR headset." "And did you get it?" I asked. "Yeah." "Well, Gage, looks like your loyalty has a price tag. You made your choice. Find the door." The encounter with Silvio was inevitable. At the grocery store, he sauntered over, all cheap cologne and smugness. "Heard you went scorched earth," he smirked. "Barbara says you've gone off the deep end. When a woman's unhappy, she looks for comfort. And I'm very comforting. Pretty sure it ain't the cripple who throws tantrums." Something snapped. I lunged, not a punch, a shove. Hard. He stumbled into a pyramid of chip bags. Then I slapped him, full-bodied, the sound echoing through the aisle. "That," I snarled, "is for trespassing." Barbara's Nashville trip. Another girls' weekend on my dime. Saturday, I parked down the street, waiting. Sunday afternoon, she emerged from her car, triumphant smirk vanishing when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. "My name's still on the deed. Another girls' trip? Or was Silvio warming your bed?" "I needed a break. I was in a hospital bed for weeks while you were otherwise occupied. Then you told me to die quickly. If you'd been half a man, maybe I wouldn't have needed a distraction." "Distraction? Screwing the neighbor while your husband nearly bleeds out?" "Give me my dog," she snapped, eyes on Curtis. "Your dog? I don't recall you ever walking him. Curtis stays with me." She lunged, nails aiming for my face. I simply shifted. Off balance and fueled by rage, she pitched headfirst into the swimming pool. I looked down at her, sputtering. "Don't ever touch me again, and don't presume to know what's mine." Gage called later, whiny. "Mom says you locked up the college money you have to pay." "The money your mother drained for shopping sprees and vacations? That was your college fund. Want college? Get a job. Apply for scholarships." "I need that money." "Is that a threat? Because I'm tired of threats from your family." He slammed out, then I heard crashes. He was smashing my car with a brick, screaming, "This is what you get." I called 911. Vandalism in progress. My stepson destroying my car. Police arrived, cuffed him. "You want to press charges?" I looked at Gage, crumpled on the asphalt. "Yes, malicious destruction and trespassing." The legalities dragged on. Gage got juvenile court, a fine, restitution, anger management. Silvio vanished once the money dried up. The divorce was finalized in a sterile courtroom. "I don't know how it went so wrong," Barbara said, one last appeal. "It went wrong the moment you decided your fleeting pleasures were more important than your vows. The moment you looked at your broken husband and decided he wasn't worth gas money. Everything after ? Just consequences." Months have passed. My leg is better, though the limp is permanent. Curtis snores at my feet. My apartment is small, but mine. The quiet isn't lonely. It's earned. Do I regret it? Emptying the house? The slap? Pushing Barbara into the pool? Calling cops on Gage? They called me a villain. Barbara, Gage, probably Silvio. Maybe they're right. But sometimes, when the world has broken you and left you for dead, the only way to reclaim yourself is to become what they fear. To embrace the darkness they cultivated in you. To become the villain of their story so you can finally be the hero of your own. As I sit here in the quiet solitude of my reclaimed life, I find I'm surprisingly comfortable with that role. After all, every villain believes he's the good guy, and in my story, I finally am.